Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Seeking Stanley, CBC Vancouver's special Canucks post-game show as we follow the Vancouver Canucks march through the Stanley Cup playoffs and heartbreak down at the Rogers Arena tonight. The Canucks a mere minute away from grabbing a commanding 2-0 lead in their best-of-7 series versus the Nashville Predators, but Ryan Suter's fluky goal, that's all you can say it, from behind the goal line tied things up. And then in overtime, it didn't look like anyone was going to score. Pekka Rinne channeling Vladislav Tretiak. He was absolutely outstanding. Eventually, the Predators found a way to get the winner, and even this series at 1-1. We've got all kinds of reaction planned for you over the next half an hour. Karen Larson is down at Rogers Arena in the Canucks dressing room as we speak, getting reaction from the guys. Jody Vance in the winners' dressing room with the Predators, see what their thoughts are on escaping Vancouver with a 1-1 tie, and I'm sure we'll hear from Pekka Rinne at one point. Absolutely outstanding. Jim Hewson will join us as well. All kinds of coverage over the next 30 minutes, but let's get to some of the tape right away. And you know what? The Canucks for the first 3 periods didn't even look interested in this game. Overtime, though, they seemed to elevate their game, and overtime, well, that was worth the price of admission alone. Let's take a look at some of the action in overtime. You see Pekka Rinne with an unbelievable save on Henrik Sedin. Take a look again. How he gets his left foot up there is absolutely unbelievable. Look at this as he just kicks it out. Henrik just absolutely snake-bitten these days. Then Mason Raymond with another glorious opportunity. Alex Burrows the feed across. Raymond going crashing into the net. They can't get the puck to go no matter what they do. What about at the other end of the ice? Tell you what, the Preds had 2 power plays in overtime. The Canucks none. Roberto Luongo doing his best on that one to keep it out of the net. And then a bit of a giveaway. Patrick Hornqvist going in, but again, Luongo stands his ground. But then what about at the other end of the ice again? Look at this. Pekka Rinne robbing Kevin Bieksa. How does he stop this puck? It is absolutely unbelievable, and we saw more and more from Rinne as the game went on. Look at the overhead shot, just gets the stick and the blocker out there just in time. And that wasn't it. Look at Bieksa looking to the skies for help. What about Maxime Lapierre? Played a great game, and he's going to be thinking about this all night. How does that not go? Again, Rinne doing a fantastic job. How does he even see it through all the traffic? And then a little bit more from Pekka Rinne there as he stops. Was that Daniel Sedin in close on the doorstep, and they just could not get it to go. Yeah, Daniel. Tell you what, Pekka Rinne looked like, what was his name? Oh, Dominic Hasek there. That's who we're looking for. Then Matt Halischuk. Who? Matt Halischuk. Yeah, the 4th liner for the Preds with the game winner. Just 5 minutes to go in double overtime. And I thought this one was destined for at least a third. Roberto Luongo not looking his best on that one. And in the end, these guys take the game 2-1. It is absolutely amazing that when you think about it, there's been 4 goals scored in this series, and they've played, what, 6, 7, 8 periods of hockey. We told you before the series began that goals were going to be hard to come by. And this one looked destined to be another 1-0 game for the Canucks. And you have to think that Vancouver was lucky at that point. They didn't really play all that well in the first 3 periods. And you take a look at the shots on goal, and they played their best as the game went on. In the first period, they were outshot 12-6. In the second period, they were outshot 9-4, the Canucks. And then in the third period, they were outshot 15-5 as they tried to cling to that 1-goal lead. Now, they did pick it up in the overtime, and they seemed to dominate the chances, as you saw by the tape. If it wasn't for Pekka Rinne, the Canucks would be up 2-0, and we'd be talking about a totally different situation as they head back to Nashville for games 3 and 4. Now, the players won't leave tonight. They're going to leave tomorrow morning because of the off day in the series. Monday, no game because of the election, of course, here. So the series will resume on Tuesday. Again, Karen Larson, and they're just gathering tape as we speak. We'll have reaction. We're going to go to the coaches' news conference as well. I'll tell you what, let's talk about the best player on the ice tonight. Besides Roberto Luongo, Ryan Kesler was absolutely outstanding. It's hard to believe he has not scored a goal in these playoffs. Tonight, arguably his best game of the postseason so far. I think we got a little bit of tape. We got some tape. Let's take a look at Ryan Kesler's performance tonight. He did it all. It's amazing he didn't score. He was great on the forecheck, hitting anything that moved. All kinds of great opportunities, and the penalty kill was absolutely incredible. Here you see him here getting another shot on Pekka Rinne. Kesler did it all tonight. He had an intensity about him that was missing at some points during the playoffs versus Chicago. But tonight, and look at this, Just a little bit of business in the face there with the stick. Kessler was absolutely outstanding. He did set up the Canucks' lone goal tonight, which we'll take a look at in a minute. But Kessler, you thought as the game went on, he was going to be the guy that was going to score the overtime winner. But as we talked about, the lone goal from the Canucks tonight came from Alex Burrows. And what can you say about the last week or so for Alex Burrows? Of course, Game 7 against Chicago, he scores the first goal to give the Canucks the lead. And then he scores the second goal in overtime. And then tonight, we'll get to Alex Burrows' goal in a minute. Joining us now live from Rogers Arena is Hockey Night in Canada's Jim Hewson. We'll talk to him about this game. You know, you listen to the game for him, he's talking like this one would never end. Would it end in time for Game 3 in Nashville? We're just getting Jim in his position. But as we talked about Alex Burrows, not only the 2 goals in Game 7 against the Blackhawks, his wife gives birth to their first daughter, Victoria, him and his wife, Nancy, one day after Game 7, and then he gets into tonight and scores the first goal for the Canucks, which looked like it was going to be the winner. Jim Hewson is ready. Let's go down to the rink. We'll catch up with Hockey Night in Canada's Jim Hewson. Jim, did you think this one was going to go on all night?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. And that's the kind of team Nashville is. They'll hang around and play as well defensively as they can, not take an awful lot of chances unless it's a really good high percentage one. And I thought that, the problem for Vancouver was for the most of the night there were not enough guys that were skating. Boy, they weren't getting many chances because they weren't moving very fast. And for the middle part of the game, they had one line going, and that was Ryan Kessler's. And when they finally came alive in overtime, so did Pekka Rinne.
You know what, and you mentioned Pekka Rinne. The Canucks played their best hockey in overtime, but so did Pekka Rinne. We compared him earlier to Tretiak tonight. That's who he seemed to be channeling. He was absolutely unbelievable. What a performance.
Yeah, he's usually makes himself just really big. And in the first game, he absorbed everything and he knocked pucks down. Excuse me. He knocked pucks down, and I got to take a drink of water.
No problem, Jim. Take your time. You've been working hard tonight. We understand.
He usually just knocks everything down and absorbs.
You know what? Why don't we let Jim kind of collect his thoughts for a second?
Long night for me too.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
He just absorbs everything, but then he became an acrobat.
No, he was absolutely outstanding, and you mentioned how good he was, and everyone knows that goals were going to be hard to come by in this series. For Nashville to win tonight and really to give the Canucks a run in the series, he has to play like he did tonight, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think so. They're not a high-powered offensive team. They don't have a big line. They had a 23-goal scorer was their highest goal scorer. They had 2 guys who had 50 points, and they would rank 92nd in NHL scoring. So they come as advertised. They need to get their blue line going. They need to get some offense off the back end, and they need terrific goaltending. And you know what? What you see is what you get in games 1 and 2 here. That's pretty much the way every Nashville-Vancouver game has been for about 5 years. They're always 2-1, 3-1, 3-2. They play the same game every night, and with a guy like Rinne in goal, they'll win their fair share.
Jim, thank you so much. We'll let you go. We really appreciate it. We'll catch up with you again in Nashville for Game 3.
All right, Shane.
Thank you. Jim Hewson from Hockey Night in Canada, obviously working overtime tonight, as everyone at Hockey Night was, and the players themselves, the fans, everyone in it for the long haul tonight. I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break, but before then, we want to welcome back our fine friends at Lancaster Vintage Clothing. They do all the retro apparel for the Vancouver Canucks. You can only get it at the Canucks team store down at the Rogers Arena, but tonight we're going to give you a chance to win a prize pack, 2 sweatshirts, 2 t-shirts, a men's and a women's. I'll tell you what, here's going to be our question. Tonight, you saw Roberto Luongo had a shutout in Game 1, his second shutout of the playoffs. So our question today, who holds the Canucks career record for shutouts in the postseason? And how many did he have? The right answer, you send it to Shane.Foxman at cbc.ca. We will take I'll tell you what, the 5th right answer tonight. Shane.Foxman at cbc.ca. I'll tell you what, Alain Vigneault is at the microphone now with his post-game comments. Let's head right back to Rogers Arena.
Our execution was obviously off. We get 4 outnumber situations in the second period. We don't even get a shot. We get a 3-on-1, and we fan on it, and they come back 3-on-1. So give them credit. They played a good game.
Would you feel better if Danny and Hank could get on track maybe the last few games here?
Well, they're our top players, and obviously we need them to perform like top players. I know they're working real hard. Sometimes you got to give the opposition some credit.
Any concern at all, Coach, that your team is now giving up 2 late third period goals in these playoffs, or is it just something that happens?
That tying goal was sort of a lucky break, and sometimes those are things that are going to happen. I think it's how you respond, and I thought we responded well in OT. Thought we had some great chances to win the game, but we weren't able to beat a real good goaltender. It was a great goaltender battle tonight.
What do you say, I guess, also about the play of Michael Sanderson? You dropped him down to third and was concerned.
Trying different things to get different people going.
Coach, was the pushback from Nashville what you expected today?
Obviously, they were disappointed about their first game. We knew they were going to come out hard. At the end of the day, though, I'm more disappointed on how we played, and obviously I'm giving them credit, but I know that we can play better than we did tonight.
Why? What way are you disappointed, Coach?
Well, our execution was obviously off tonight, and that cost us.
Can I ask you? You led the league in scoring during the regular season. Now you're one of the lowest scoring teams in the playoffs.
There's not a lot of room out there, and I think you got to give credit to the goaltending. I mean, he made some huge saves, especially in OT.
Frustrating to give up a goal again in the last minute of the game.
I think I answered that question.
All right.
No problem. Anything else?
Vous avez parlé en anglais qu'il faut donner crédit à l'autre équipe qui ont quand même joué une bien meilleure game.
Disons qu'ils ont très bien joué pendant les 60
Okay, that's
premières
Elaine
minutes de jeu.
Vigneault down at Rogers Arena. Obviously not happy with the way the game ended tonight. He had to like his team's performance in overtime, maybe not in the first three periods. We're going to hear from the players when we come back. As mentioned, Karen Larson is in the Canucks locker room. We're going to take a quick break. You're watching Seeking Stanley on CBC Vancouver.
Oh, that's nice. That's solid.
There you go. That should rattle him a little bit.
I was going to ask you, what does that inspire? What does that do? What is that?
That's
what's
Mike
the
Fisher's wife.
Oh,
Carrie Underwood.
See, I thought it was Paris Hilton. How bad am I? How bad am I? I was going, what does that mean?
Welcome back to Seeking Stanley. A little bit of an added plus down at the rink tonight. Elvis Costello performing with the odds. The Canucks house band tonight, unfortunately, it didn't bring them all the luck they needed. 2-1 the final as the Predators beat the Canucks in double overtime. Matt Halischuk scoring the winner with about 5 minutes to go in the second overtime period. We've heard from Elaine Vigneault, obviously not happy with the way things turned out. We're going to head right back down to Rogers Arena. Karen Larson is standing by. She's had a chance to talk to some of the Canucks in the room. And Karen, I imagine a very disappointed bunch tonight. Everyone talking about Pekka Rinne, I imagine.
That's for sure. You know, a quiet room, Shane, and that pump it up music, the Canucks weren't really able to pump much up until the overtime, and that was a big theme of the questions as well, starting with the captain, Henrik Sedin, who is goalless in his last 15 games. The question to him, why were the Canucks so dead offensively in regulation time, but able to turn it up in overtime? Here's what the captain had to say.
Like I said, they made some adjustments. They changed a few things on their forecheck, which made it tough for us to get some clean looks. And when we did, we had a couple of 3-on-2s and 2-on-1s where we made extra pass where maybe it wasn't there. So I think on a goal like this, you have to take the shot when it's there and create rebounds that way.
All right, we also had a chance to talk to Roberto Luongo, who faced between 45 and 50 shots. And look, this loss isn't his blame, although, of course, as a goalie, yeah, he's the last man standing there. Roberto, perhaps a disturbing trend, allowing a tying goal late in regulation 2 out of the last 3 games. Of course, Game 7 against Chicago, and here again tonight. And, of course, tonight did not end as well as Game 7 against Chicago. Anyway, here's what Luongo had to say after the game tonight.
You know, we try to stay in shape all year long for situations like this. So, you know, you could tell as the game went along, we were gradually taking over. So it was nothing, obviously, compared to the quadruple overtime against Dallas a few years ago.
Kevin Bieksa, well, he had a glorious chance in the first overtime to end it for the Canucks, but Pekka Rinne just made an amazing blocker save. Bieksa looked absolutely drained, exhausted at the end of, well, you can imagine 2 overtime periods. Here's what number 3 had to say.
Yeah, he played very good for them. He made some big saves. We had chances to end the game, and he stood on his head. So there's not much you can say. You tip your hat to him, and in the future we got to get more pucks on net and make life a little bit more difficult for him. He seems like he's seeing every shot right now, so he's a pretty good goalie, and he'll save most of those.
Yeah, so there's the understatement. He's a pretty good goalie. I'd say he's a little bit more than pretty good. Canucks are on a plane tomorrow to Nashville. They'll practice there on Monday. Game 3 is Tuesday. Canucks heading to Nashville with a 1-1 tie in the series. Shane?
Thanks very much, Karen. Great running around there. Everything absolutely crazy tonight with double overtime. So thank you very much. And as Karen mentioned, and you heard Kevin Bieksa talk about too, Canucks outshot tonight 46-33. They didn't really pick it up and even seem to arrive in the game until overtime. And by then, Pekka Rinne seemed to take over and steal the show. We got to take a quick break on Seeking Stanley. When we come back, more reaction from the Rogers Arena. We'll check in with Barry Trotz, head coach of the Nashville Predators. His team has to feel absolutely fantastic after splitting here in Vancouver. You're watching Seeking Stanley on CBC Vancouver. We'll be back right after this.
Oh, Burrow's jersey. Did we have that before? Did we just get it? You just got it. Welcome back to Seeking Stanley, CBC Vancouver special Vancouver Canucks post-game show as we follow the Canucks march through the Stanley Cup playoffs. Karen Larson joined us earlier. We heard from the Canucks following their 2-1 double overtime loss to the Nashville Predators. Of course, the series now knotted at 1-1. So we've heard from Elaine Vigneault. Let's check out the other side of the ice. Jody Vance joins us now live from the Rogers Arena. Jody, you had a chance to talk to the Predators, and they must be feeling pretty good about themselves tonight.
Well, Shane, no doubt about it. I had the happier side of the decisions in terms of which room to go into. Certainly the Nashville Predators very excited about the fact that they are going home, splitting this first 2-game series in Vancouver. Didn't look like it was going to happen until late at the game, as you're well aware. And through the first 5 periods of play, it looked like Pekka Rinne certainly would be the player of the game. We will hear from the goal scorer in a moment, the overtime winner. But first we talk to the netminder about what he admits is the biggest game of his career to date.
You know, a little bit different than the game 1. You know, we played a great game, and I thought we deserved the win.
Talk about that incredible save that looked like you were channeling, I don't even know what, when you managed to get the blocker down.
Yeah, I got a little bit fortunate there. Seti made a great pass to Bieksa, and you know, I was just able to get my stick and my blocker over there, and got a little bit fortunate there, and obviously big save at the time.
In terms of the Vancouver, and you know, Pekka Rinne certainly the player of the game overall, but there's no question that the young man who scored the gold medal winning goal in the 2008 World Junior Hockey Championships is the man who is getting the most attention in the Nashville Predators room at this moment. Matt Halischuk now on, well, a big goal, let's say.
Smitty did a great job winning the draw, and Webby threw it over to Suits there, and he had a great battle on the wall and got it to Spalls, and he made a great pass over, and Smitty was driving the net, and it just kind of picked my spot, and luckily it went in.
How good did it feel?
Yeah, it was definitely unbelievable.
He was very timid to be in the spotlight. There's no question that Matt Halischuk is the most unlikely of heroes on this night at Rogers Arena, but there's no question, Shane, he is a hero to his teammates, as is Pekka Rinne, who put on such an incredible performance for the Nashville Predators. The Vancouver Canucks certainly need to try and solve that mystery when it comes down to Game 3 on Tuesday night.
Thanks very much, Jody. Absolutely right. No one was talking about Matt Halischuk before the series began. Everyone was talking about Pekka Rinne, and for good reason. He was absolutely outstanding in overtime tonight. The head coach of the Nashville Predators, Barry Trotz, is now talking to the media. Let's go right back down to Rogers Arena and hear what he has to say about splitting the series.
Well, I just think that it's really appropriate. I mean, last game it was that same line getting the goal for the most part. Obviously, it was Jordan, and I just had Hallie and Jordan's spot on that particular shift, and you know they put pressure on the puck. They turned it over at the blue line, real good play, and then you know, Hallie placed it right where you need to place it on Roberto, and you know big win for us, obviously.
Barry, some of the guys in your dressing room said this is the most memorable game of their careers with the Predators.
Well, for some, I mean. you know, there's some guys that played in some pretty big games, but for a lot of the young guys, there's no question. As a Predator, that, you know, a double overtime win in Vancouver, second round, that's pretty big.
Barry, this would have been incredible tonight if you guys didn't win the effort that you had, especially with Peck and the fact that you shut down the Canucks so well. I mean, you guys played a lot better.
Yeah, well, tonight we played Predator hockey. You know, I talked about the disappointment, but we played with conviction. We played with discipline. Our work ethic was there. We had a lot more detail, and I thought in the regulation.
Head coach Barry Trotz of the Nashville Predators. Man, we planned an hour-long show as we kicked off our show tonight, but of course the Canucks and Predators didn't exactly cooperate as they went to double overtime, so we're trying to jam in as much information as we can. Again, the series will resume Tuesday in Nashville. Of course, you can watch the game right here on CBC. We'll be in Nashville as well, and right after Hockey Night, Seeking Stanley will be back again. Our contest tonight, we were talking about shutouts in the postseason for the Vancouver Canucks. Roberto Luongo with 2 so far this year. We wondered who holds the record, career record for most shutouts in the postseason for the Vancouver Canucks. The answer, Kirk McLean. The number was 6. Our winner tonight, Benson, and buddy, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, H-S-I-E-H. So Benson, congratulations. We'll be in touch with you. You won the great prize pack from our friends at our vintage paraphernalia. Who do we talk about? Lancaster Vintage Paraphernalia. Sorry, guys. Very nicely done. Thank you very much. Now, a reminder, coming up right after our show tonight, Arthi Pohl with CBC Late Night. She's already in the studio getting ready for the show. Arthi, did you like the game tonight?
You know, it would have been nice had we won.
Yes, of course. I think Arthi has the same sentiments as most people in the city tonight. It didn't go their way, but a thrilling finish to this game. 2-1 the final. Again, the series knotted at 1 game apiece. Game 3 Tuesday. Puck drops at 6 o'clock in Nashville. Everything right here on CBC, including Seeking Stanley right after the show. Thank you to Jim Hewson, Jody Vance, Karen Larson, and everyone who works behind the scenes. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.